kings and queens, giving thanks to the Black History man himself, Robin Walker. You done know, oh my days, yeah? We gone in on the so-called Egyptian Book of the Dead, the book of coming forth by day. So now all of you that have E1S Budges translation in your house, sure it will make more sense to you from now on, kings and queens. And we're going to push further, because Brother Robin Walker was going through all those energies and those forces within nature. Well, now we have one half of the Ancestral Voices team to teach you and tell you how you can become a force of nature, or how you can understand your power as a force of nature, kings and queens. This is one of the preeminent scholars in our present world African community when it comes to the issue, the subject of African spirituality. Yes, indeed, kings and queens. Try now, yeah, it's going yard and foreign and all these things, you know what I'm saying? So please show your digital appreciation for the one and only Brother Dalian Adofo.
Thank you all very much, Brother Shakara. Always, you know, he expands me so much. I'm not even sure how I can keep up with such accolades, you know, but we'll do our best. So thank you for that lovely introduction, Brother Shakara. And thank you everyone too for tuning in and being present, you know, to listen to this insightful list of lectures today about our spiritual and religious legacy that we hold. I'm Dalian Adofo, co-founder of the educational initiative Ancestral Voices, which is one set up by myself and my wife Verona, who's hopefully at home watching now, seeing how nervous I probably am or looking like. But let's get into the presentation without much further ado. Be a force of nature. What do I mean by this? How can we be a force of nature? The answer itself is surprisingly simple. Yeah, we're going to start from the big picture, and then we're going to see how that picture mirrors ourselves as individuals, or as the expression we call human beings. Being a force of nature. The universe itself is a transformative place. Any astrophysicist will tell you that. It's a place where forces pull on planetary bodies and they all have effects on each other. This is how the cosmos works. It's a place where galaxies, stars, and planets are born, full of visible aspects and aspects which are invisible, at least to human eyes and technology. And all these forces, bodies, exist together in a complementary system, meaning none is separate from the other. But so within the human body, within and without, we are also likewise affected by multiple forces and processes that can affect our growth, our well-being, and just our general existence. It's a place where also ideas and concepts are born, and we ourselves are composed of visible and, for lack of a better word, invisible aspects as well. So at a quick glance, you can see that you, the individual, are a mirror of what we call the universe. And I know that might seem very hard to comprehend because you find yourself within this universe. So how can you, in such a tiny aspect, be the same as everything there is? Let's this is an object. It's like a little screw I just found on my way here actually to illustrate this concept of how we are mirrors of the greater. Now if I drop this screw, it drops because we know there's a force identified as the force of gravity, and that affects this tiny object. But if I were to also walk off the stage, I would likewise drop. The same force that can even affect the moon, that can affect all the planets in existence, also has an impact on us. Why or how can this happen? Because at our core essence, those same processes yes, even in the very tiny cells of our body, has these processes that we can see in the external. This is what we will call the Ubuntu universe in African spirituality, because we have the understanding that what is in the macrocosm, the larger, is also found in the micro, which is us as individuals. So all those transformative processes that we see externally, we find them within ourselves. Let's take a look. One of the processes we have in the human body is what we call the respiratory system. It's what keeps us alive, how we breathe. We take in oxygen from the atmosphere or our environment, which keeps us alive. Then our bodies transforms this into another chemical compound, if you will, or gas that we call carbon dioxide, and then we emit that gas. And that gas also goes that far as to sustain the plants. That then what also gives us back food. So again, you can see the same complementary system I mentioned that we see in the wider universe. This is something you find within your own body. Let's look at another system, the digestive system. Yes, we take in foods that again, the body converts into energy, it converts into minerals, it converts into vitamins, it even converts into waste. And that waste again can do what? Be sustenance for the growth of the other plants that we then use as food. So even again, on this very small level, we find a microcosm of what we see in the external universe. So we can ask ourselves the question, are we actually just human beings, or are we something entirely different? One of the greatest transformations that we find within ourselves, we find in this system called the neural or the nervous system. And if you look on the left, we have what looks like essentially coils and wires all connected to these, what looks like balls. This is what our thoughts actually look like. But then if you look to the right, that's what we know our thoughts to be. They're images. So somehow we're able to transform what are essentially electrical impulses, bursts of energy that transmit and communicate information that is then transformed into the images that we see in our mind. So again, within our very selves, we are transforming processes within the individual body. This is not surprising to anyone with a deep understanding of African spiritual concepts, because as a human being, as I've already illustrated, we are transformative beings. That is the science of life at its essential aspect. In each and every moment, we are transforming. We are converting one state to another state. This is our actual beingness. So as I mentioned, as a human being, we are much more than what we allow ourselves to think. I've illustrated 3 concepts already that shows how in every and each moment we are transforming aspects of ourselves. So the human being is not a static, frigid, should we say, body mass. In essence, we are actually energy, beings of energy. And as I've already shown you 3 of these processes that are always in constant transformation. This is happening every second. Even as I'm speaking now, my digestive system is still working, my circulatory system still works, the blood that's flowing through my body, sustaining my life, yeah, it's still happening. So in each and every moment, I'm already transforming, each and every second. So transformation is not something that we necessarily need to see external to us, because in each and every moment we're undergoing that process. Okay? We're much more than just flesh and blood. In essence, we are what you could consider bioenergetic beings. Okay? Because one of the core principles and understanding within African spirituality is the fact that we're composed of the body, which is the physical aspect to ourselves, and then spirit, the aspect of ourselves that we never see. but we are intimately aware of, because we work with that spirit in each and every moment. One aspect of it is our minds, how we see, observe, and understand things. So again, I'll repeat that very key point. We are transformative beings. That is actually the science of life. As they say, change is the only constant. So coming back to the idea of being transformative beings. In African spirituality, this will be clearly encapsulated in the concept of the divine destiny. So, to further illustrate the idea that we're transformative beings, always undergoing a process of transformation, we find this in the divine destiny concept within African spirituality, which is that each and every one of us has been born or taken physical form to achieve a particular purpose, and is so clearly defined in the Yoruba system under the label of your Ori, meaning each and every one of us has an Ori. Now what an Ori or the Ori identifies is, it reminds us of our potential, what it is we are to become. Okay, so what yet remains unrealized, what we must transform into or become. So your whole life journey is a process of transformation. You are a living expression of alchemy, because you transform from one minute being helpless, not being able to move, next minute you're crawling, then you're walking, then next minute you're running, then next minute you're an adult. You're constantly in a state of transformation. So alchemy is not even something we should look external to us, it is us. That's what essentially our lives are meant to entail. And any adherent in the Yoruba Ifa tradition clearly understands that without your own Ori, other forces of nature cannot come to your aid unless your own Ori agrees with you. So you find people who say, oh, I want to be initiated into Oshun, I want to be initiated into Ifa, I want to be initiated so I can be Obatala. But what they forget is, none of these natural forces have any power beyond what power you can give them. That alone should remind you of your own ability. Because if your Ori is not in agreement, it matters not. You could call from Obatala down to Yemanja and you would still have no effect. And the Ori is a force. Yes? So again, we're going back to that first concept I mentioned. Look beyond the physical flesh and the blood. That is just the energetic part of yourself that is so concealed, it has a form. But then your spirit is what animates that form. So first and foremost, you're a force. Okay? And the Yoruba definition, it defines your Ori as your spiritual double. Again, remember what I mentioned about the aspect of your physical body and the spiritual aspect of it, all enclosed in the one shell. And the Ori literally means your head. And again, this is no accident, because your head is where you carry your consciousness. And as I showed you the transformative process in your neural activity, we see pictures, but those, they're not pictures. They're just, think of electrical sparks. Those are what we see as pictures. We transform electrical sparks into images. Again, a reminder of that transformation constantly going on within yourself. And it also highlights the fact that you yourself are a divine being. So those the wishes that you're running after or looking for, you first need to look to yourself. It reminds you of the importance of yourself in your whole experience of life. Okay? It reminds us that we are also forces of nature. You, the individual, first and foremost exist as a force of nature, and then you can start to make the connection with all the other forces that exist and already has an impact on you. Okay? And again, as I said, no Orisha can do your bidding unless your Ori is in agreement with that natural energy. And perhaps we see this, how these forces affect us most. Women are the best examples to illustrate this, because we see how the menstrual cycle correlates with, again, a planetary body that is not even within our space. How do we do that if it's not working on an energetic level? We can be fooled by the physical, but we have to feel, because this is where the energy, or how it works, or manifests, or we experience it. Okay? So, enabled to procreate or appease our ori, and to increase communication with it such that we can activate it and start bringing on that desired consciousness, yes, that gives us an understanding of how we identify our purpose. We have one tool which our ancestors recognized and have left with us, and even exist within us. Yes, this is why we find modern dance systems from twerking to cranking, and you find those same expressions in African traditional dance. Don't like the word traditional per se, but we find them in African indigenous expressions. Yeah, we've gone centuries, but that memory somehow still exists in our family that we can express them today. The tool that requires us to bring on this activation is ritual. Ritual is the key to unlocking that potential within yourself. It is the process of activating the memories which are contained within our chromosomes, our very DNA. Which is why, as I said, we find people in the diaspora never been to the continent that can start expressing ancient dances, ancient expressions, because the memory is not gone anywhere. It still exists within them. Okay? Ritual also provides us with the transformative energy for transmutation. So as I already mentioned, we're not just flesh and blood, we're more like bioenergetic beings. Your bio aspect is just your body, and then your energy really is your spirit. And that spirit, again, is also what we might call your thought patterns. You've never seen your thoughts, but you have them. They guide you to whether to take right, to take left, or even what I need to say in every second of the moment. But none of us here have ever seen our thoughts. Yeah? And when you're dead, nobody knows where they go. Even with all our so-called advanced technologies, we can't locate thoughts. But we know an aspect of your body, 25 grams of it, disappears. You lose weight. Yeah? It's worthwhile pausing on that. So this is that connection between your bio and your spirit. This is why, our esteemed Professor Smalls has this phrase, and I'm paraphrasing, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay? Rituals themselves give us energy. Once we're in the process of ritual, the ritual can be, when I say ritual, sometimes we automatically end up in a Hollywood movie where we're seeing all these weird and wonderful things. But a ritual can be as simple as every morning you waking up and repeating positive affirmations to your mind to program the way you feel. How you're going to approach the day, how you're going to approach people, or what you even need to accomplish in that day. It can be as simple as ringing a bell to just get a sense of the vibration within yourself as you even state these positive affirmations. Because then now you're doing two things. And as you're moving and expressing, you're producing energy. You do it, you start to find that you're feeling hot and warm. Your body is producing energy. You're not a battery, are you? And you're not a power station either. So how does your body produce energy? I take you back to the theme of my presentation. Because you're a force of nature. You produce energy. So these early morning rituals, it might seem as simple as that, but you're very intent. Because intent, again, are thoughts. And those thoughts can transform and change aspects of your reality. Okay? And this is what I'm saying, that as beings of energy, rituals charge us to operate at our maximum efficiency. So taking time to learn more about them is essential. And we have a whole range of online courses for those who want to learn more. I don't have enough time to cover the depth and the consistency. But as I've said, rituals don't need to be anything elaborate. It can be you early in the morning before you step out of your house, ringing a bell, just changing the vibration within yourself and stating how you want your day to pan out. Because you are affirming the reality you want to set for the day. You do that consistently, frequently, you start to experience different states of being, different ways of feeling about yourself. Yes, this is the transformative power of ritual. And they get even more impactful when you start to correlate them with universal principles. And by that, that can even be the movement of the planets that we find in the cosmos. Okay? Because the movements of those planets also produce energy patterns that you can connect with. Because remember what I've said is, you're not separate to what we might see as the moon. That shape of the moon is the same shape of the cells in your body. Yeah? So again, we're just mirrors of what we see externally. And more importance of rituals, especially and most importantly, as I said, some people are always eager, oh, I want to know Oshun, I want to know this one. The most important rituals you can do is those that you do for your ancestors, your ancestral lineage and your ancestral line. Even when you do not know them by name, shape or form, but knowing that, understanding that you exist because there's a whole generation of people that have come before you. Just making that conscious intent that you're calling on their energies, their presence, their support, it's more than enough. That will trump, seriously, any even initiation session you could ever undertake. Because this is what you draw yourself from. So rituals of ancestral veneration should be the cornerstone of all ritual, as it is that chromosomic memory that will aid you most in the remembrance of your purpose, the remembrance of what you're here to do. And most importantly, when you invoke those ancestral energies, you bring into your being the skill sets that you need, the expertise that you need, and the mastery of the things that you need to have in place so that you can be your own master. You can master your own experiences and your own circumstances. This is where ancestral venerational rituals become important. So this is where it's very key. Have an altar or a space in your home which you set up just for that purpose, to show that reverence and that veneration. That alone is a very powerful way to connect with spirit. With rituals, they allow us to create routines, they allow us to create the right systems, and it's connected to, as I've already mentioned, wider ecosystems. Not just even the people you're meeting, but to the very planetary or heavenly bodies that we see every day when we look up into the night sky. And there's something interesting that happens, because when we look up, let's say at night, you automatically see stars, you might see the shape of some of the planets and whatnot. But what any Western scientist will tell you is that what you're seeing is traveling millions of miles into your visual, should we say, optic. Yeah? That alone should even change your understanding of time, and the way they've taught us that time starts from 12 o'clock, then we get to noon, then we're back at midnight, because it tells you that time doesn't follow that type of trajectory. Because it takes a second for you to see what has traveled millions of miles light. It kind of doesn't make sense, doesn't it? But again, this is what ritual affords us to be able to do. It allows us to pretty much bend time and space. It allows you to live your future self, because it's a projection or a walk into that future that you are to become. Yeah, this is what ritual is. It allows you to step into the future. So again, in closing, what I can put forth is ritual and even transformation of ourselves. That is our core of life. This is the science of the life that we're living. We're not just waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep and following up. In and each and every that process, we are becoming something else. This is the point of your existence. You're transforming in each and every moment. So the alchemy we're looking for, we shouldn't be looking for it externally. It's not one act act that you do and then everything transforms, you yourself, the individual, you are an expression of that spiritual alchemy. So again, to conclude, I will remind us again, be a force of nature. Because really, you can't be anything else. That is what you've manifested as. So let's take time, let's understand how ritual can work and the various elements that we can put into ritual. Let's trust ourselves. Let's follow that guidance. Even though sometimes you might get an idea that sounds so totally out there. Try it out. It might be you've got a feeling, pour a bit of water on your plant in the corner and call someone's name, an ancestor's name. That is the ritual you need at that moment. And that is what will give you that transformative experience that you need. So, ritual gives us the opportunity of the future becoming what it is we're here to do. So that ends my talk for today. And thank you all very much for listening. And please don't forget, be a force of nature. Thank you.